There are Etsy sellers making thousands and in some cases hundreds of thousands of pounds selling printable junk journal kits as digital downloads. Now, when most people think about digital products on Etsy, they think planners, wall art, or printable calendars. But one of the categories that continues attracting buyers is junk journal printables. These are themed collections of vintage style papers, journal pages, tags, pockets, labels, specimen sheets, and embellishments that people print at home and use to make beautiful handmade journals. And what's really interesting is it isn't just older Etsy shops making sales. Just take a look at this Flower Fairy bundle. This listing is only around 2 months old, yet it has already had a Etsy bestseller badge, has 20 plus views in the last 24 hours, and according to research tool Listing View, it's estimated to make around 48 sales each month, meaning it has a monthly revenue of over $650, and it is only 2 months old. Now let's look at this one. This one has had 2 people have bought it in the last 24 hours. It is a bestseller and only a month old as well, with monthly revenue already at $115 and total in the past month $230. And if we move away from botanical themes altogether, look at this Curiosity Row Victorian Matchbox collection. Completely different artwork, yet another newer listing with a bestseller badge here, and 2 people also have bought this in the last 24 hours with 96 monthly sales in the past month alone. So we're already seeing something really important. Buyers aren't just purchasing one particular junk journal style. They're buying complete collections, whether that's botanical pages, flower fairies, vintage kitchens, Victorian curiosities, or even woodland mice. The pattern is exactly the same. People love immersive junk journal kits. But it gets even more interesting when we stop looking at individual listings and start looking at the shops behind them. Let's do that now. So the most surprising shop I've come across is this one, Junk Journal Art Shop. It's been 2 months on Etsy and it has made a whopping 3,400 sales in that 2 months of being online. When looking at the Listing View Etsy tool, it shows that it has amassed an amazing $8,000 in revenue in those last 2 months. And this is showing us that newer shops can gain traction surprisingly quickly. And then we have the more long-term examples of shops. Take this one, Cat's Curio Creations. It's been on Etsy for 2 years, but look how many sales this one has made in that really remarkably short space of time. 29,000, almost 30,000 sales. And again, when looking at the research tool, it shows that this is over $220,000 in total revenue that this shop has amassed. Now, none of these examples guarantee that a new shop or a new listing will achieve the same results. These sellers have built large catalogs, refined their products over time, and earned customer trust. But together, they tell us something extremely valuable. People are actively spending money on printable junk journal collections. Listings are making sales. New shops are making sales. And established shops show that this can become a long-term business rather than a short-lived trend. Now, if you've ever tried creating journal pages with AI, you've probably discovered something. Generating one beautiful vintage page isn't actually that difficult. The difficult part is creating an entire collection where every page feels like it belongs together. You may see that one page looks like Victorian botanical art, the next one looks like a modern watercolor, and another suddenly introduces bright colors that don't match anything else. And before you know it, you've got 20 nice images, but not one whole product. And as we know, buyers do not purchase random artwork. They purchase coordinated collections. And that's exactly why I built my junk journal prompt Atelier. Instead of starting with image prompts, it helps you build the collection first. It plans the theme, the color palette, the page types, the asset mix, and then creates coordinated prompts that all belong in the same visual world. So in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how I use it to create a complete vintage botanical junk journal bundle from scratch. We'll use the GPT to plan this collection and generate the prompts, and then create the artwork in ChatGPT image generator, as well as the Etsy title, description, and tags. And lastly, turn everything into professional mockups ready for an Etsy listing. And if you'd like a small selection of the prompts that I'm using in today's video, just comment botanical below and I'll show you how you can get that free prompt pack. So let's start where every successful Etsy product begins, not with AI, AI with research. Because before we create anything, we need to understand what buyers are already responding to. And this is what I call market validation. Before we create anything, I want to answer one question. Why are these products selling? Because we're not here to copy anyone else's work. We're here to understand what buyers are actually paying for. As I look through these examples, a few things immediately stand out. First, none of these products are just random vintage pages. Each listing has a very clear theme, whether that's butterflies and nature, or French blue cottage themed, or even something like this ice cream parlor vintage feel. All of these listings are creating an entire world rather than a collection of unrelated images. The second thing I notice is the consistency. The colors work together. The artwork follows the same style. The papers, labels, tags, and journal cards all feel like they belong in the same kit, and that's what makes this bundle feel premium. And finally, the strongest listings don't just include background papers, they include different asset types that help buyers build beautiful journals, things like pockets, tags, specimen sheets, labels, cards, and ephemera. What I want you to notice is that buyers aren't purchasing individual AI images, they are purchasing a complete created toolkit. And that's exactly what we are going to do today. Not by copying any of these listings, but by understanding the patterns that make them successful, then creating our own original collection from scratch. Let's start by planning the visual world before we generate a single image. So here we are at the Junk Journal Prompt Atelier, and I have asked it to help me to create a vintage botanical junk journal kit. And this first step is where most creators go wrong. They open ChatGPT and immediately start asking for images. The problem is, without a plan, every image ends up looking slightly different. The colors change, the style changes, and before long you have a folder full of nice artwork that doesn't feel like one cohesive product. And with the Junk Journal Prompt Atelier, instead of starting with prompts, it starts with a visual world. So as we can see here, I've told it that I want the vintage botanical junk journal kit. From that single idea, the GPT plans the entire collection for you. It suggests the visual style, color palette, key design elements, and the different printable assets that belong in the bundle. And instead of guessing what to create, you get a complete blueprint before generating a single image. And this is what transforms a handful of AI images into a product that feels professionally designed. Here it's recommending a wildflower field study page, an apothecary work table page, suggesting writing pages, functional pages, ephemera, specimen tags, apothecary labels, garden tickets, and mini cards, amongst other things. And these are all been specifically recommended in a way where they work together in a cohesive style. So now that we have our blueprint, let's use it to generate the exact prompts we'll need for every page in the collection. So as you can see here, it's asked me to type prompt 1 if we're ready to begin. And so I have typed in prompt 1 and it's come back with the very first prompt for the first page in our collection. As you can see, this is a super detailed prompt that we will then use to create the first page of this collection. So at this point, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to open a new chat. We're going to be creating this using the really amazing ChatGPT image generator, which has really come a long way and is what I mainly use now when creating any types of images because it is really, really high quality. So now I'm choosing create image. I'm going to keep the selected model at medium and I'm going to paste that prompt. I'm just going to remove where it says prompt 1 and the name of the first front cover, and we're going to leave that as it is. And then we're going to allow it to create that first part of our collection. Whilst it's doing that, I would then go ahead and ask for the second prompt, which I've done now, and it's given us prompt 2 in our 30 prompt or 30 page collection. So I would just copy that and then I'm just going to set it up so that as soon as it's finished this image, it can then start creating the next one. And by focusing on one asset at a time, the GPT can include far more detail while making sure every prompt stays true to the same visual world. The result you'll see is that the artwork is more accurate, more cohesive, and far more beautiful than a batch of generic prompts. So now we have our first front page created. Look how gorgeous that is. This is more like a cover page that might go on the front of a junk journal or in whichever way the end user wants to use it. I like to include those front covers and those back covers just to create versatility and flexibility in the way that you want to display it and the way your user wants to use it themselves. So now we've got our first page, we are going to go ahead and create the next page, and this will be the journal back cover. Whilst it's doing that, we're going to go ahead and get our third prompt, which I've already done, and this is the inside cover, and then I will get that ready there. So here is the back cover. Again, you can see it's really in keeping with that front cover. It looks perfectly aligned. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a few more of the other prompts and then we'll see what they all look like together. So we are back and I have gone through a couple of these prompts, and what gorgeous outcomes they are. We've got the front cover, the back cover. This is more of a collage specimen type page. This is a lined, really gorgeous journal page there. This is a botanical grid paper page. This one is another collage type page. We've got some specimen tag. We've got apothecary labels and then pockets as well. This wasn't the full range of the different prompts that this particular collection includes, but there were actually 30 in total that were included in this collection. I've just shown you some of them there, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to then package this up for delivery to your end customer. So what you do is you then download each of these images, and then once you've downloaded all your images, I would definitely suggest that you upscale them just so that they are top quality for your customer. So the image upscaler that I use is called Gigapixel. It is a one-time fee and it's one of the best upscalers on the market, but there are some free upscalers you can use. So if you want a list of some of the other free upscalers that are available, let me know in the comments and I'll send that out to you as well. Now what we want to do is we want to create our mockups. This is something that I've included to go with the Junk Journal GPT, just so that you are really able to quickly and efficiently create your product. So what we're going to do is we're going to just upload all those images, and while those are uploading, these are some mock-up templates, and all we're going to do is we're going to drag and drop those pages into these templates. This will not take very long at all, and then that will be ready to deliver to your end customer. Oh, and remember, I'm giving away a couple of these prompts for free, so let me know in the comments if you'd like a copy of them. So basically, with the artwork finished, we've done our upscaling, and now we're going to use these mock-up templates to create our really gorgeous mock-ups. So all we're going to do is we're going to drag and drop all of these different pages into these templates super simply. As you can see, super straightforward. These are ready done. So you just fill up that template. Obviously, when you're creating your collection, you're going to have a lot more pages to include. So I'm just adding these here. And then what you'd want to do is just go to edit, and then we're going to add a shadow there, a glow shadow, just to give it some more realistic kind of look and feel there. And then after you've done that, you'd want to put your title in this. We can go back to our collections details and get the title that the GPT had given us, which was The Forgotten Botanist Ledger. And then we just make that smaller. Obviously, if you don't want this name, then you can just ask the GPT for another name, or you can think of something yourself. And then you're going to put the product details. In this case, it might be how many pages. So let's just say we've got 10 junk journal pages. And then we might want to put the sizes there as well. And then you're just going to go ahead and do that with the rest of the mockups. Again, that's not going to take you very long at all. So what you're going to want to do now is you're going to need a way to deliver that final product to your end customer. So this is a download document template that I will also include. And what you're going to do is you're just going to insert the name. So we're going to copy and paste that there. And then we'll say access ledger here. And then what we want to do is we want to upload those junk journal pages that we've upscaled. We're going to upload them into a Google Drive folder. So we'd want to click new, and then we're going to give that a name, click create, and then it's going to create that folder for us. And then you would upload those pages here. You definitely want to make sure that you rename those pages, but once they are uploaded, you then go to click share, and then instead of restricted access, you would want to put it on anyone with the link. And then when you're done, you would have a link that you can then go back to your template here. You're going to click this link button and you're going to paste that link there. And then that means that when someone buys this listing, they're going to get access to this document here. They're going to click here, and then that's going to open up into that file with those junk journal pages. Remembering to rename all of these pages and also upscaling them. So now with all your artwork finished and a listing that's ready to publish, we actually want to then create that title, the Etsy description, and your tags as well. And so rather than going and doing this all from scratch, all I would then do is after we've generated all of these prompts, I would simply go back to this junk journal prompt. I would scroll down to the bottom of this chat and ask it to generate all the listing for my Etsy store. So the prompt I generally use is as follows. For this junk journal kit, please write an Etsy titled no more than 130 characters with no repeated words. Also write a 600-word compelling description which is best suited to and speaks directly to the target audience. It needs to include relevant emojis to break up the text in an interesting way, and also include the dimensions of the printables. Also give me 13 tags of less than 20 characters each. According to Etsy best practices, the tags need to be separated by commas. I use this for most of my Etsy listings, and it has been a really, really detailed prompt that brings back something that I can almost copy and paste into my Etsy listing with no extra headache. So as you can see, we've got a really great title here: Vintage Botanical Junk Journal Kit Printable Herbarium Ephemera Victorian Flowers Nature Papers Collage Digital Download. So that's really used some of the more well-known keywords that people will be searching for. Obviously, if you want to then add some additional keywords or you want to swap out, then that is completely up to you if you have a way that you like to create your titles. The next thing we can see is we've got a really, really lovely and detailed description here that speaks to that end customer. That customer is going to be someone that's using it for scrapbooking, mixed media arts, handmade cards. And then it's also got some sizings as well. And it's got some printing suggestions that the end user can follow. You definitely want to read through this, make sure it all makes sense, but it's a really, really great springboard to creating a really great listing. Lastly, we've got some Etsy tags, and because I'd asked it to separate them with commas, this is going to be easy to just copy and paste straight into the tag section of Etsy. So as you can see, within seconds, the GPT has generated everything that I need: a keyword-rich title that follows Etsy's character limit, a detailed description written specifically for junk journal enthusiasts, and 13 optimized tags ready to paste straight into the listing. This is going to save you a huge amount of time, along with the mockups and the download document template. But more importantly, it keeps everything consistent with the collection we've just created. At this point, we have the artwork, the prompts, the title, the description, and the tags. And that's the complete workflow. We've started with a simple idea, validated that buyers are actively purchasing these junk journal kits, planned a cohesive visual world, generated detailed prompts, created the artwork, and made an Etsy-ready listing complete with mockups. The goal isn't to make beautiful AI images, it's to build complete collections that buyers genuinely want to own. If you'd like some of the exact prompts I'd used, send me a message with the word botanical and I'll send them over to you. And remember, with the junk journal prompt Atelier, you can create junk journals in various different themes, topics, and categories. The world is your oyster with what you are able to create with this GPT. If you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate if you gave it a like and subscribe. It helps the channel and lets me know you'd like to see more tutorials just like this. And I'd love to hear in the comments, what type of junk journal kit would you like me to create next? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.